This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 192. This week, Brad and I talk a lot about video games when we talk about the 1989 series, The Legend of Zelda.
Hey, it's been fun, but the other customers are getting impatient. Guys, it's been a blast, but you're going home! And tell Ganon that if he really wants this Triforce, he'll have to get it himself! Okay, that's better. That's how I like to start a morning.
The day just keeps getting better. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That is, of course, this show. Thank you once again for joining us this week. I say us because I'm Jake Williams. You've heard me now, but I'm not the only guy here. I couldn't do the show without my good buddy, Brad Chmielewski. What's up, Brad?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you doing this fine Tuesday?
Yeah, it's been going pretty well, watching cartoons.
Yeah, trying to catch up on as much stuff as possible, as we possibly can. We actually had a listener let us know from last week's show on Super Noobs. We commented on how we were the noobs, how we didn't know how they even got their powers. And we should have known this. I think we suspected it, but episode 1, I believe, of that series talks about how they got their powers from Super Noobs last week.
That makes sense. Like, it's not surprising that it would tell you at some point because, yeah, we didn't know.
Well, and I love when listeners let us know things because I actually had another friend listen to our episode on Teen Titans recently, which was, that was almost 100 episodes ago or something, because he likes that show. And I prefaced it with saying, we do a show every single week. We talk about a cartoon, but we also understand that some shows have fan bases that we just might not know or have the same passion for you. So we're just kind of trying to dissect it and talk about it as best we can. And he loved the discussion of the show. I was pleasantly surprised that, oh, okay, good. We did a good job of a show that is probably pretty popular. But we still have to do Teen Titans Go, which looks super fun.
Yeah, we need to do that. Is that our next week's show? Already? You going to tell people now?
Or are you deciding right now? Brad just decided, guys. It's technically different enough.
Yeah.
And we've kind of avoided the superhero shows, not on purpose. Actually, dude, way back, I don't know if you remember this. We started the show in a July or something? It was summer.
Maybe.
I thought about doing themed months of the show. So we would do
right, yeah.
Superhero September, I think was my idea. We were going to do Marvel and X-Men and all that stuff. And those ideas are still on the table. But, it's easier to just pick what we feel like watching. But this week's show, we were bound to get to this show at some point. That's about as much as I can preface with what this show is and what we're about to do. We're talking about the Legend of Zelda cartoon this week.
Well, you also wanted to do it because you've been playing a lot of Zelda, and I think you just wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, there's no way I could go another podcast without talking about how much I've been playing the new Legend of Zelda game. It's amazing, dude. I don't know. I mentioned, I think, at the end of last show, the Switch has only been out for a week or something, but I got the Switch. I picked up Zelda. It's literally the only game worth playing on the thing right now. It's kind of sad. There's way more you could do, but and this game has I almost had brought my wife and I together, but of course we're together. We're married. But a lot of times
brought us closer. Yeah.
I play a certain type of game. My wife's not going to play League of Legends. She's not gonna learn to play that. But she just like us basically grew up on Mario and Zelda, things like that are pretty accessible, but a lot of fun to play. And dude, we've just been sitting after dinner. Yep, put on Zelda. Let's run around and find some stuff. It's been kind of crazy. I think at this point we're probably pretty close to 40 or 50 hours into that game, and we're not even half done.
That's awesome, then. But that you guys, one, that there's so much to it, and that you guys can play it together, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, there's definitely like things we're better at. She's even admitted this. There's sometimes when, if there's a ton of enemies, she likes to take it slow and like sneak around and try to kill them, but I tend to just go, nope, I'm running it with bombs. We'll see what happens. So, so we take turns doing that kind of stuff. But anyway, so even if you have a Wii U, I would recommend this game. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and I'm not even done yet. Like,
oh, okay.
The story's great, but just the amount of enjoyment, the world building, like everything about it is awesome. And you can even say there's some references back to the Legend of Zelda cartoon in a weird way, because the Legend of Zelda cartoon actually touches on the very first two Zelda games. That's kind of what it's, I don't want to say parodying, but basically trying to emulate.
Yeah, okay.
Before we get into Legend of Zelda, we should mention that this show is actually part of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which we covered on an episode of Toon Talk Weekly way back in the day. Again, toontalkweekly.com is where we have links to all of our shows. Do you remember watching The Legend of Zelda at all, dude?
No. I remember watching Mario, but I feel like when Zelda came on, I don't think I stuck around, or like that was when we went and did something else. Because I remember watching the Super Mario show in my neighbor's TV, like in the garage with like the antenna and everything.
Like, and you would have to, this would be like not recorded. You would have to go at a certain time to go watch it.
Yeah, I feel like it was in their garage. Because their mom babysat me and my sister, or watched us because we lived next door where my parents weren't there. So we just always hang out in each other's yards. So
and watch Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Yeah.
I loved our discussion on that show, actually, just because of the weird live action bits where, come on, man, you're not Mario. You can't pretend here to be Mario. But so Zelda was a feature, as it had one season. I don't remember how many seasons the Super Brothers show, the Super Mario Brothers Super Show had. But Zelda only had one season and 13 total episodes. And it was like, I think in a half-hour block, it would do like Mario skit, Tiny Mario episode, Zelda episode, Tiny Mario episode, skit, end, like some formula like that.
Yeah.
Of course, the Legend of Zelda game, or rather the show, was based on the Japanese video game series Legend of Zelda by Nintendo. Most people know it mainly from that. Produced by Deke Entertainment, one of our favorites, and distributed by Viacom in association with Nintendo of America. It first aired in North America from September 8th, 1989 to December 1st of that same year. And actually, the fun fact about this show was actually it was going to be continued, but it was actually canceled along with Super Mario Brothers. Like, they thought that Zelda was a better property that they were going to go with.
Whoa.
Oh, you're saying whoa after watching an episode of it.
Yeah, the Super Mario show was way better.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And this series, a fun fact about anybody who knows about the lore of The Legend of Zelda or played any of the games, this is only one of 6 productions with the Legend of Zelda title where Link, the character, talks, or he has a voice. Typically, Link is a mute. He even in the most like trying of conversations with characters throughout the world, he just like, okay, yeah, I'll just go do that, and doesn't say anything. So kind of interesting that they gave him a voice here. And I'll have more comments on what I think of his voice and what I think of his attitude in this show, because it's
okay.
I didn't know what I was getting into. Some of the fun facts about the production, rather, of involved in the show is it loosely has references to the games, and we got to think back, way back 1989 here. It only had references to The Legend of Zelda, the very first title, and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, the lesser played of the two. I think people don't remember that game as fondly, but so you're going to see familiar monsters, items, locations from the show, or from the game, rather. And then there's also sound effects and music peppered throughout the game, or throughout the show, that remind you of the game. It does that thing, dude, where there's just sound effects sometimes that aren't necessarily Zelda sound effects, but they remind you that it's based on a video game, and you hear like
a little bit,
a coin, or like a rupee, or a pixel noise. Like, I don't know. There's so many times I was watching it, I was like, come on, man.
But you just assume that's from the game. I don't know. Even if it's not, you would be like, oh, is that from... Do I remember that sound?
Yeah, let me go play and find out. Oh, but there's no saves, so I can never get back to that point where I actually get that far. So the story of the Legend of Zelda cartoon. This is just the cartoon, and then I'll try to compare what I know of the huge Zelda lore that people have kind of gone out of their way to build. The opening credits actually sums it up best, what to expect from these 13 episodes. This is the Triforce of Wisdom. They show the triangle, the Triforce piece. The evil wizard Ganon has the Triforce of Power. Whoever possesses both Triforces will rule the land forever. You must help me, Link. I believe this is Zelda speaking. I gotta stop it right there because it's called a Triforce. Three.
Right. Yeah.
In the cartoon, there's only 2 pieces of it. They're just skipping over the Triforce of Courage bit. Like, well, we don't know where that is, but if someone has both of these, like, for sure something bad's gonna happen.
I don't know. Yeah.
It bugged me a lot and you know what? I didn't watch the whole series. I'll be honest here. So maybe later they bring it up, but if it's in the credits, I think they're only going to focus on these 2, and it's kind of funny.
Maybe they're like, the one is fine. We don't have to worry about that one at all.
Are they like subliminally telling us that the Triforce of Courage is crap? It doesn't mean anything. It just fits nicely together. But the other 2, those have the power. You know.
Those are the power. I think you are. Link is the Triforce of Courage, right? Is that kind of the idea?
He's courageous. I think, each one is supposed to represent Zelda, Link, and Ganon, and the connection between them, right? We're getting a Harry Potter Voldemort vibe, really, with it.
Right.
Most episodes of the series feature Ganon trying to get the Triforce of Wisdom to combine them, trying to kidnap Zelda, or overall just generally trying to conquer the land of Hyrule, where this takes place. There's a common running joke throughout the series, and this gets at kind of Link's character in this depiction here. Is Link's repeated failure to convince Zelda to give him a kiss as a reward for his heroic deeds. And he also has the awful, I'm just going to call it awful, the sarcastic catchphrase, "Well, excuse me, princess."
Yeah.
which these days has become an in-joke with gamers. People that probably saw the show and played video games and remember it and now look back at it and they're like, this is the catchphrase you gave the hero of time? Like, so kind of funny there. So the main characters we're going to talk about, we have Link, of course, who is our hero. He's protecting the Triforce of Wisdom typically, and Princess Zelda. But man, in this series, wouldn't you just describe him as a sarcastic, the worst version of a boy teenager?
Oh yeah, like it is this is someone that you would not want as a role model. Like, it is awful. Like, he might be saving the day, but holy moly, like, could he just die? Like, I just kind of want to see him die.
No, man, he'd have a fairy bring him back to life, so he would.
Oh man,
yeah,
what a jerk, man. He can't even.
There are moments in the episode, because I don't know, we'll talk about that specifically, but he has like everything. You have like the power to command time, maybe not at this point, but you're the savior here. You can do all this stuff, but dude, he's just like, oh, being a hero, like, it's all right, it's whatever. But he's like so privileged, but doesn't care. And there's a moment in this episode that made me uncomfortable when he's like, being a hero has like no perks about it at all. Looks out of his tower, sees Zelda there, and says, well, I guess there is one perk. Mm-hmm. And then he like catcalls her. He yells down to her, like, look good from this angle.
Yeah, like, wow.
In
her like basically underwear or
nightgown.
Yeah.
I felt kind of uncomfortable. That I was like, wait, this was a kid's show. I'm trying to put myself back in a kid's position, and without like dissecting it and being a little funny about it like we are here. I probably would have thought it was funny as a teenager or like a young kid. Like, heh, cute or something, but
it'd be like, ooh, Link likes Zelda.
Boys, two married, respectful men. Now we're like, I don't know, that's a little. I wouldn't say that to somebody.
But this wasn't even the worst one of them all. Like,
No.
This one is like, oh man, that's kind of rude of him. But then when you see the rest, you're like, well, that was nothing.
And this is only one episode. Who knows,
Yeah.
where else it goes from here. We've, of course, got Zelda, the princess, who oftentimes helps fight alongside Link with a bow. She doesn't typically have the bow. It's Link ends up giving it to her. And I don't know that it ever shoots arrows. I think it always tends to have... in the game, in some of the games, when you had like full stamina or full hearts, your sword would also shoot like lasers, kind of, and that's what the bow shoots in this.
Okay.
We have Sprite briefly in this episode, who's the friendly fairy. Think Navi, that kind of thing. There are this fairy fantasy lore in the games. And then Ganon is the evil wizard. In this series, he's depicted as having like all kinds of powers in this alternate realm, but then when he comes to Hyrule, he can't do some of the things. Like I know he can't teleport in this episode. But Ganon's also like, the boss is supposed to be almost like swine-like or pig-like, but man, I feel like they made him look more like a crocodile thing in this show. Like he doesn't look like a supervillain.
No, he doesn't. He looks like a henchman.
He looks like a henchman.
Yeah.
Like, okay, when's Ganon gonna show up? Seriously?
Yeah.
Go get your boss. Okay.
Yeah. I'm his brother. I was just like filling in when he was out of town.
These robes are really comfy. I don't want to get rid of them. All right, let's talk about an episode of the series. Season 1, Episode 1, called The Ringer. This is all over the place online. And even, I'm pretty sure it's packaged with Super Mario Bros. Super Show, so if you guys have any streaming services that have that, you can follow along with that one. So, and of course, if you want to follow along with the show notes, toontalkweekly.com, but this post should have it for you guys if you want to follow those. So the Episode 1, this is the first time we're ever introduced to Link in cartoon form. It's called The Ringer. And actually, now that I'm thinking on the episode, I don't even know why it's called The Ringer, now that we get to the end of it. So it starts with Link. It's giving you like a panoramic view of the castle, the kingdom, Hyrule Castle. And Link is up in his tower. He's literally a teenager who's like overslept. It's like mid-morning. And he gets up just kind of complaining lazily about how being a hero is so boring and he just wants to do other stuff. This is where we get the scene where he looks down on Zelda, sort of catcalls her, and she quickly gets a robe from her fairy and goes back in to hide, right?
Yeah.
Just at this moment, because Link's in this tower because he's guarding the Triforce of Wisdom. This is also when a bunch of henchmen, I think he called them moblins, which is a character from the games, but it's not what they currently look like in the games. It's what they looked like in 1989.
Okay.
So, I was confused when I saw him. And suddenly he's got to defend the Triforce of Wisdom from them. But it's kind of a funny defense battle scene because he's like in his sleeping attire too. He decided, well, I guess got to fight him, and slowly grabs a sword, grabs a pillow as a shield.
Yeah, he's really just in a long t-shirt and underwear.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume, yeah.
Yeah, we never saw. We don't know. Maybe no underwear. Maybe that's what let him win this fight so well.
Yeah.
And he dispatches of them pretty handily. It's a funny scene where he's kind of jumping all over the room. And right after he's done, Zelda walks in and says, like, God, do you ever clean up in here? Because it's all, destroyed.
Well, this was after he, decided Zelda was there. He's like, oh, I assume this means you're here to give me a kiss.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that was quick. But she has no idea what just happened. So he's, living in his own head of how heroic he truly is.
Right.
It's me, Zelda.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. After saving the Triforce from evil, the hero gets his reward. Ow!
Don't you ever whistle at me again.
I may never whistle again, period.
Don't you ever clean in here?
Excuse me, princess. If I'd known you were coming, I'd have asked the moblins to sweep up before I zapped them.
There were moblins in here? When?
About 10 seconds ago. About, 15 of them. Armed to the teeth. Naturally, I fought them off, risking my life to save the Triforce and your kingdom. But I don't expect any reward. No, sir. Just a smack in the face is enough for me.
And he's just basically a teenage boy that thinks a girl is knocking on my door. She probably wants to get naked and, make out with me. That's just what I'm thinking. A girl is at my door, so obviously she probably just wants to get naked, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what to peg him as. Are we pegging him as 15, 16?
Yeah,
maybe?
15.
Before his bros have told him yeah, that's not how talking to girls works. You don't just expect that, but whatever. So yeah, and then she asks, why haven't you cleaned up? He mentions, I like how explicit this was when he had to mention, I killed a bunch of moblins 10 seconds before you walked in, duh.
Yeah, 50 of them.
Yeah. He exaggerated that. He didn't exaggerate the time.
No.
But Zelda has to leave, of course, because she has to host a, was it just a wizard tournament or a magic tournament?
Amateur wizarding hours.
Dude, there's so much in this kingdom, and you're like, well, let's see what the amateurs are up to. We do
You
need
know,
some...
I'm the princess.
Let's just say, to justify it, that it was for a wizard apprenticeship with the kingdom or something. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I'm trying to make it work. And we get a cutscene to Ganon, I think, in this moment, setting up why he might come to Hyrule in this episode. He says, well, I could go win that amateur thing easy. Like, I'm an all-powerful wizard. I'm going to go up there. But he can't teleport, and he obviously can't be seen, or people are going to know he's Ganon. So he puts on some robes, he summons some skeletons, and then puts robes on them, and I guess they just walked.
Yeah, he just walks there. Yeah.
Because he just showed up. The next scene we get is actually at the competition. We'll call it that. And we're seeing, I think, the very first wizard, who is my pick, actually, to win the competition, because they never did go back and crown a winner.
Yeah, we saw one wizard.
We saw two wizards.
Oh, we saw the guy that removed stink from his feet.
Yeah,
or
that guy
something.
sucks. That guy sucks.
Yeah.
And Ganon's disqualified. We'll find out. So this first wizard could make, he made like a tomato plant grow. It was started as like a little sapling, and then he made it into, well, not sapling, but a little seed or whatever it would be.
Okay.
And made it grow into tomato. Okay, cool. Then we get the smelly feet guy. Okay, whatever. He was just like a quick, funny line before they actually got to... Ganon showed up and was like, wait a second. I'm just going to win now. Some guy had a lizard. Some guy summoned a lizard or did something.
Yeah, made one appear.
I don't know. I guess that's a cool power, too. So Ganon needs to he has a scout go up and look who's guarding the Triforce of Wisdom. Of course, it's Link. So his plan is to divert Link from that and makes this lizard that was summoned into a giant beast that they actually have to fight down in the courtyard. So this is enough commotion to get Link away from the Triforce of Wisdom, and ultimately the henchmen take the Triforce of Wisdom, and him and Ganon leave the castle.
Link, get ready!
Ha! Not bad, eh?
What are you doing here?
Nothing much. Just heroically saving your life. Why?
You're supposed to be guarding the Triforce.
Well, excuse me, princess. I...
The Triforce of Wisdom! Mine at last!
So this is why I think this tomato growy magician guy should win. Because they need to quickly get them. They're not going to catch them on foot or on a horse. So what's he do? He sprouts a little tree. It turns into a gigantic tree, and they use it as a slingshot to go start the final battle of this episode.
Yeah.
Hats off to you, Tomato Wizard.
Yeah, that was pretty good. He's probably got the job or the apprenticeship.
I would love to watch episode 2 and just have him walking in the background like, oh yeah, I work here now. Cool.
Yeah, where's the HR? I gotta pick up my name tag.
Now I really want to know what the HR office in a castle looks like in a kingdom, right? So now we're on we're in the road in the woods, and suddenly Link and Zelda land just right in front, perfectly in front of Ganon and his troops to be able to stop them. And we get the final battle scene. It's pretty fun because we get one of these Zelda and Link battle scenes where they kind of help each other. He got a bow earlier from some of the moblins that he dispatched. So they also, in the show, he has like a magical pouch that things can fit into just at any moment.
Does?
Yeah, in the Link does.
Link does, yeah.
So he can make this bow turn tiny and fit into the pouch, which is actually funny because it's something in the games that's never been explained. Like, Link can hold a crap ton of items, and no one's ever like, dude, you should be crawling. You can't carry all that. Mm-hmm. So we have this fun battle scene where even they need to be back-to-back to fight all these skeletons. So Link undoes his belt and wraps it around him and Zelda at the same time so that they're almost forced to be back-to-back, and they sort of dispatch of all the enemies this way.
Well, I call for reinforcements.
A measly 3 stout bows? Ha! Take this, princess.
What? Link?
Huh? Back to back, princess. Fast!
Get them!
They end up dispatching of them, and Ganon, from some sort of like little temple thing, he summoned some guys. He gets knocked into that basically. I think by an arrow from Zelda it was.
Right.
They get the Triforce, and of course he won't undo the belt. They're there together. She's very thankful that he helped save the day, but he asks once again for a kiss, and they're interrupted by Sprite, who shows up.
I don't know about asking this time. He has himself tied around her and is basically demanding a kiss. He is almost forcing himself on her.
Being a little forceful, yeah. It's weird. I rewatched the scene because I was listening to it, and then I was like, what just happened? That's kind of weird.
He's like, you can't, it's the equivalent of like, the door's locked on the car, I can't unlock it until you, make out with me here.
Yeah.
Like, what?
He truly... I'm a little iffy on the character, like, of Link in these series, because the Link that I know from the games is a quiet, well-meaning hero. And that was essentially season 1, episode 1 of The Ringer. That was it, right? Didn't they just end there? I think.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
And then my favorite part was getting to hear the Mario theme again.
Yeah, because it ends with the outro music.
The Do the Mario, which is like, swing your hands from side to side. Do 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 do. Yeah, I love that song. We should just do a whole cartoon or a whole episode on that song.
Right, just us dancing. That should just be the
us dancing. Yeah, I'll put that one down. So, Brad, what do you think of the show? I know we've talked at length about Link's character, but where does the show fit for you? What do you think of it?
It was not great. It felt it is so sad when a show that is 15 minutes feels like it's like 2 hours long. I was like, man, this is not going anywhere. Is it not? It's not going to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, there was a time, I can't quite remember where it was. It was like before Ganon got to the wizard place, to the courtyard. I was like, oh my God, it's only been 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much more. And it wraps up really fast. I will say that the pacing of the show just feels quintessential Saturday morning, like the formula that was built to put cartoons on just enough time for you to eat breakfast, watch it, and then go play outside or something. Like, that's kind of how it felt. It was definitely fun visiting some Zelda stuff, so that's where I gave it kind of a pass, because I was like, oh, I like Zelda music and noises, and great. But if I was being like a purist towards the stories, the deep history that's been built over Zelda, and even fan theories that are pretty deep, man, what is this show? Like, come on. The animation's fine.
No, the animation's fine. Yeah, but yeah, just the concept of it is pretty sad.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think we had some of these the production seemed kind of rushed, maybe because there was a scene in this, just like we had in the Mario episode, where they showed a character, dialogue was being spoken, mouth was not moving. Like, they needed something to bridge the gap, and it looks like somebody forgot or something. Even the Mario show, dude, you remember we saw like, hey, in this shot, Mario's colored like Luigi. Like, someone colored him wrong.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So, it makes sense why the show would come out that way, but I don't know. We're gonna give it a meh. Like, it's funny in like a campy sort of sense. It's almost like the same thing, dude, why people think video game movies are bad, because they try to do too much video game
stuff in them, yeah.
But then it makes it like it doesn't touch the right audience. Like, I don't know. And then making Link like just a horny teenager was a weird choice. So it's like, it's a weird thing. If you want to see a sarcastic hero of time, go ahead and watch it. But I think we're not going to push this one down your throats. Just go buy a Nintendo Switch. It's way better. He doesn't talk. He doesn't talk at all.
Just play the game. Yeah. Don't watch the cartoon.
Right. That's our review of the show. Let's get out of here. Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
So you can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog, digitalhitchhiker.com.
Great. Guys, go check them out. You can follow me on Twitter, @Jacob Williams. And, of course, the show, we're all over social media, @Toon Talk Weekly on Twitter, facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly, and we're at Google Plus as Toon Talk Weekly as well. Our email, let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if there's a better episode of The Legend of Zelda. There's only 12 more, so I'm sure I'll just toss them on here and there because because
No,
why not?
Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
If I do it before I've watched any Steven Universe, I'm gonna lose myself. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. There.
ToonTalkWeekly@gmail.com is the email to send us if you guys want to get at us. And of course, ToonTalkWeekly.com, the main hub for the show. Sent a friend there the other day. All the episodes are alphabetical on the side, so they're pretty easy to find. I couldn't tell you which numbers go to which ones because we've been doing this for like 3.5 years, so I have no idea. So that's going to do it for this week. I think we're just going to watch Teen Titans Go next week. That sounds awesome.
Nice. Sounds good. I will start now.
And we're barreling closer and closer to episode 200. We have some fun stuff for you guys because I'm going to try to watch a lot more of the series so I can talk about it a little bit more in depth.
Okay.
And then might have a little game for Brad to play. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
I have to study or practice?
No, because it'll be funnier if you get them wrong, I think.
Okay. All right.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of Toon Talk Weekly, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week when we talk about another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit ToonTalkWeekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.